All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to start the Rutherford County Risk Management Committee meeting today on Thursday, January the 24th, 2019. All right, our first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as sent out? Motion, Mr. Joe. Do I have a second? And we've got a second, Ms. Hallen. Any questions, comments? All right, having none. All in favor of approving the minutes, if you'll please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Right, minutes pass, and we'll start with Ms. Street on the financials.
All right, we'll begin with Fund 264 if you'll refer to that report. We'll look at how the year ended through the month of December. So in the month of December, we had revenue come in at $6,698,000 compared to expenses of $6,632,000. The difference by month came in at $65,932. On the second page of the report, we'll compare calendar period year-to-date, and then we'll review fiscal period year-to-date prior to current. So if you'll look at the current period, our revenue was $75,196,000 compared to prior period of $66,402,000, with current expenses coming in at $69,341,000 compared to prior period of $67,349,000. Fiscal period review shows that revenue is currently at $30,772,000, with prior period at $27,499,000. Current expenses at $36,314,000 compared to prior of $33,128,000. If you go to the last page of the report for Fund 264, you'll see that when you look at our calendar year revenue versus expenses comparison for 2018, we actually came out with a positive of $5.8 million. Fiscal year comparison is currently trending at negative at $5,542,000. We have average enrollment on our medical plan at 5,985 employees, and a calendar year PEPM coming in at $965.84 per month. Within Fund 266, we have month ending in December at $417,881 compared to prior year of $520,005.
All right, do we have any questions for Ms. Street on our financials as presented? All right, moving right along. We'll call on Mr. Dan Good to come up and give us our Workman's Comp OJI stats, please, sir.
Good afternoon. As you look at your report, you'll see that in the month of December, we had 14 injuries requiring medical attention. That brought the year total up to 261 total injury claims. Of that 261, 172 were Osha recordables, 78 were restricted days, 37 lost time days, and 57 all others. On the next page of your report, you'll see that those injuries had a total incurred dollars of $24,400. As compared to the two previous years, the 261 this year compared to 217 last year, and 2 years ago 197 for the incurred dollars. Just like to remind you that it takes about a year for these injuries to settle down. The incurred dollars is an estimate on what it will take to resolve those injury claims. Sometimes those dollars may go up, sometimes they may come down, but it takes about a year for all those dollars to settle down. Oh, I'm sorry. That was 261 injuries. I'm sorry. The next page has got the dollars on it. You'll see there 687,000, 596,000, 622,000 for the previous year. As you flip over and look at the Board of Education, you'll see that 10 of the injuries for last month was with the Board of Education, . and the total incurred dollars there were $18,900. The county general had 4 claims for $5,500. And those injuries were in the sheriff department and the ambulance service for the county general. In the last page of your report, I tried to do a complete review for the last year of all the injuries. Of the 261, you can see the breakout there. And the top 3 types of injuries were slip, trips, and falls, strains or injuries, and struck or injured by. So that's going to be the things that we're going to look at this next year and try to concentrate our training on and make sure that we address those types of injuries. Do I have any questions?
Just one about the, Don, I've asked you before, I think you calculate the total incident rate for the county, is that correct?
Yes, I can do that.
And you're not reporting that to us?
I don't have anything on that right now other than the last time. It takes about a year to a year and a half for the state to finalize those dollars. I was thinking I might have the last one I have here. The state incident average was 5%, or 5.00, and the total rate for the county was 2.3. But this was about a year ago that I have those numbers right now.
The total incident rate, how do you compare that? Do you compare it to the state average? Do you compare it to local government?
Mr. Phillips,
Local government.
can we use our mic? Make sure we use our mic so that everybody can hear, please, sir. All right. Any other questions? All right. We thank you, Mr. Dan.
Thank you.
All right. The next item is for a wellness update, and we'll call on Mr. Chuck Chappa to come forward.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to say that the 2019 incentive campaign is in full swing as of January 1st. As noted from last meeting, we added quite a few new options in regards to being able to meet our wellness requirements. If you look at that report I have there, it's laid out basically all of the new options we have. Annual physicals, year to date, we have 476 completions. Biometric screenings, we have 558 completions. Online health assessments, we're at 200. Mammograms, we have 272 completions. OBGYN screenings, we have 315. Colon cancer screenings, we've had 117. Cervical cancer screenings, we've had 344. Prostate exam screenings, we've had 88. Flu shots, 1,509. And as of this week, we actually have 1,497 people that have met the requirements and the goals that are needed for the 2019 campaign. So we have excellent numbers as of right now. And as a reminder, this does include that look-back period to 10/1, catching any screenings and things that have been taking place since 10/1 of last year. Did I have any questions on that before I proceed?
Well, Mr. Chuck, you know I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for everybody's knowledge and to remind us, you're picking these numbers up because the physician billed it through Cigna. This is no self-reporting
Negative. Yes.
on our employees' part. This is simply, we've gone to the doctor and we've had these procedures, so it's making it a little easier for our employees, and somebody may not even know they've met theirs yet.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
actually, with the exception of the biometric screening, every single one of these is recorded and the data is picked up through a medical claim. So if the employee goes in and has any of these screenings done, it will get caught with the medical claim. With the exception of that biometric screening, they still need to take in the form in order to have that data submitted to Cigna, just like we've done in the years past.
Okay? And then another thing, help me remember, have we sent out anything to our employees as to, hey, we've had this change, here we go?
And we are currently in the process of putting the final stages on a home mailer that will go to every single member that is on the medical plan that outlines not just the new changes to 2019, but also the entire 2019 program calendar to include MedPoint access, locations. All of that material will be in this mail out that's going to every member that's on the medical plan. So that'll be finalized within the next week or so, and that will go out. In addition to that, I'm going to start sending out once a month a communication email through the county emails, just clearly defining the new program, the new options that we have, and any questions or anything can be addressed to the office here.
Okay, and sounds good, and the mailing is going to go on based on the address that is shown on our payroll stubs, correct? Which is what is fed to Cigna.
Yes, it will
Okay.
go off the addresses that Cigna has on file.
Okay, so we all need to kind of be conscious and look and make sure our address is correct on our payroll check so that we will get this information.
Agreed. And
Okay.
if any addresses do need to be updated or we do have any issues, please let me know and I can
Okay.
work to accommodate.
Okay, Ms. Stevenson?
Do we know how long it takes does it update automatically? So when county payroll updates to you, then does it update to them automatically?
Unfortunately, local gov doesn't interface that way any longer with ADP, and so it's a manual update in our system. So once we receive notification of address change, then it's manually modified in our system.
However, when we do make we're creating the document, I'm going to have excess made, so if we do have case-by-case basis of individuals that did not receive it or would like to receive it, I'll have extras on hand to be able to accommodate as well.
And we do 2 feeds a week to Cigna, so as soon as it's uploaded in our system, it's only a matter of days before it's updated over at Cigna's system, which is really what's most important to understand is how quick they'll get the data. Yeah. Hey, Chuck, can you clarify, so we have 1,497 employees who have completed, they've already met their goal.
Met the 3
As of
requirements.
January the 25th. And
As of January the 25th.
how late in the year would it normally have taken you to see 1,400 completions?
Probably March, April timeframe before we started to see that many completions.
So the CPT code process has helped tremendously
It's
in that regard.
tremendously helped to pick up that data. Also, though, to keep in mind, that does include that look-back period of 10/1, so we normally wouldn't capture anything during that
Right.
time period. So we would be in the hundreds, maybe, during this time frame without that look-back.
So one thing I would recommend for consideration is that as you're getting people more familiar with this process, is that you are sending out some type of completion postcard so people know that they've already met their goal and how they achieved that. I think that would be helpful in the retraining of the program.
And like I said, there'll probably be some surprised that they're through with it already, based on this, so.
And truly, and as in years past too, if we have any issues across the county, please just address them to my office and I can do the best I can to accommodate. My only request is that please get it to me before the deadlines, that way I can accommodate and fix them. After the deadlines, we're extremely limited on the ability for me to fix certain things.
All right, and we appreciate it. Now, all right. Go ahead.
Just what we have going on this month and going into March, the current quarter 1 program is Cruise to Lose. It's a New Year's weight loss, healthy eating, exercise program. It'll basically require participants to set a healthy weight goal, to set a personal goal that they want outside of that. Our own Christy Allen took part in the one last year, and she actually set a really great goal. Sorry, Christy, to call you out, but this is your perfect example of this. So we really wanted to set personal goals for yourselves, that thing that you haven't done, the thing that holds you back. What is that thing that you really wanted to be complete? And so as part of the program last year, we included that. So we had several employees set these goals, and Christy was actually able to get out and take part. She had a vacation she always wanted to go to and take part in, and she actually went out and did that. So that's an excellent thing that we get to see, and it's wonderful to be able to get that kind of feedback and see that firsthand, some of these things that come out of these programs. And in addition to that, last year when we ran a similar type of program, we had an average weight loss of about 14-ish pounds. So these are really successful. You know, obviously you will get what you put into it, out of it, but we have seen a high success rate with programs like this. We have an upcoming lifestyle management class March 7th. It's going to be a build your own workout. So whether you work at the sheriff's office, whether you work at highway, whether you're an office worker, we'll help you build kind of your workout based around that and give you the components you need to create that. So that'll be coming up March 7th at the Lane Ag Center. And then the Lifestyle Services EAP for this month is based on building positive relationships at work, and that's available online on demand starting as of January 15th. And then the February Lifestyle Services EAP webinar will be Mental Health First Aid, and that'll be available starting February 19th on demand. Any employees will have access to that as well. My last item that I have, in the last meeting, there was a request that we the wellness team look into purchasing pedometers for a group challenge throughout the county. We were approved for an amount of $1,500 in order to be able to purchase those. Unfortunately, after doing some research, I found that the penny pedometers were actually the price listed for a single blank. And to clarify what a blank is, it's just the general item with no personalization, no upgrades, no anything. The item itself was 1 cent. However, the shipping for that item was $5. So for a penny pedometer, it would have been $5.01. So to accommodate for the 6,800 individuals that we have in Rutherford County, it would have been in excess of $5,000 to accommodate a pedometer for that. Unfortunately, because we were only approved for $1,500, we would have to get further approval to proceed with those pedometer purchases.
And if I recall, the blank was only one was available for a penny with $5 in shipping. Everyone else above that had additional costs associated.
The absolute cheapest price that I could find scouring the internet was 84 cents a piece, which would have put us in well of excess of $5,000 in order to purchase one for each. Also, just to make a comment on the quality of these pedometers, on the sites themselves, there were ratings towards these types of pedometers. Most of them were broken before they even received them. These were very, very cheap pedometers, so for future purchases, we may want to proceed with a higher quality model if we do something along those lines.
Anything that is approved that the wellness money from Cigna is going to be utilized for, such as a promotional piece like this, has to also meet the standards of the Cigna quality. Is that correct? Because the logo will be applied.
Yes, if we apply the Cigna logo to it.
Okay.
I have a question along those lines. So we got the award, and I think it was $5,000 that came along with that award. And we talked about the idea behind the pedometer was just basically honoring that wellness program and trying to reinvest back into it. In lieu of the pedometers, do you have any other suggestions or recommendations of a way to use that money in a way along the same spirit of honoring that award?
In that same spirit, it would be better served to do something along the lines of possibly like a 5K, a county event that we could put on using that money for that. The unfortunate thing about purchasing an individual item for every single member of Rutherford County, even if they are 2 cents a piece, we're still looking at a large amount of money to be spent. I think we could better serve and hit more people and create that spirit of activity through events of things like that, so tournaments or 5Ks, things like that. And so as part of our project plan for going into 2019, that is something we're going to try to visit, and we'll see if we can create something along those lines.
Ms. Stevens?
Could you do a program like walking, like to meet a destination, and maybe you could use that money for like, I don't know, like however many miles it takes to get to Gatlinburg from here, everybody who walks the number of miles in this time frame to get to I don't know, I'm just trying to think of an idea in mind with the walking and the pedometer to get people moving, maybe that.
Well, and to be clear, in the past, we have done things like walk across Tennessee, walk across the United States, walk across Europe, things like that, and those have been quarterly programs. As far as that, the actual Q3 program for last year was a distance walking, and we tend to, what we prefer to do is we would rather get like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch that does really quality data. Unfortunately, we're limited to cost in those, and those items are rather expensive in that regard, but they do last. So for prizes in that regard, we do tend to gravitate towards Fitbits, iPads, or iWatches and things for those challenges. And we can visit some other options as far as challenges and things that we could do, but in that spirit, to keep it, the events would be more. Yes, ma'am.
If maybe the county could partner, can they partner with maybe a sports authority or something to get employees a big discount on it?
That's something we could research and look into as well to try to see. Any further questions? All right, that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Very much.
All right, and our next item is getting a MedPoint report update. Do we have Miss Shannon McNair? Come on down, hon.
Good afternoon. I believe everyone has our midpoint report on your desk there, if you could pull that out. We're going to dive right into page 2 that shows our clinic visits. I'd like to point out in November 8th, we went live with a new electronic medical system. I think we've talked about that in the past and knew that was coming. And so what we're seeing on these numbers here is that with the new system, I'm working very closely with our reporting team to capture some numbers that we previously reported out to you guys that included non-face-to-face encounters that directly affected patient care. So for example, a patient comes in and gets some lab work done in the clinic that may adjust their medication. So they come in the clinic, they get the lab work, and then they go. They don't always have to come back in for us to make those adjustments to the medication. You know, one of the great things that we can offer at the MedPoint Clinic is convenience. And so sometimes when we get those results back, we'll take, time, review those lab work, get in contact with the patient, adjust the medication. Sometimes it requires us to reach out to if they're seeing a specialist, we might need to communicate with them, and then call the patient and adjust their medication appropriately. And so it affects direct patient care, but it's not face-to-face time with the patients that would be reported in a clinic visit. And unfortunately, due to the transition to the new electronic medical record, I do not currently have all of those numbers to be able to report to you at this time. We are still working with our reporting team to capture those as well. So in November, you're going to see the reported is the face-to-face encounters at 974 and December at 967. Any questions about that slide? Okay. On the next page there, you're going to see my wellness visits reported out for our wellness coordinator and our registered dietitian. For November, our wellness coordinator saw a total of 22 visits, and those were all follow-up visits, no initial visits there. And in December, 19 visits with 18 follow-ups and 1 initial visit. It's pretty common for us to not see any initial visits during the months of November and December with the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You don't usually see as many people wanting to start their lifestyle change for healthy eating and working out and things like that due to the holidays and the stress that all that brings. So that's pretty typical to see those initial visits drop off. For my registered dietitian in November, she saw 13 visits. 12 of those were follow-ups with 1 initial. And in December, she saw 3 visits with 3 follow-ups and no initials. Any questions about that slide? All right, on the next slide there, you're going to see our PEPM summary. And in November, we had the 974 visits with total operating costs at $258,760. And you'll see that the cost per visit is blank for the reasons I mentioned on the first slide that we went over. I don't have the accurate full number to give you to be able to calculate that out at this time. The PEPM, though, is at $43 per employee per month. December, we had 967 face-to-face clinic visits with a total operating cost of $325,298. We do see an increase in that invoice for that month because it's a 6-week payroll for us. So 6 weeks of pay salaries were included in that total operating cost, which equaled out to be a PEPM of $54 per employee per month. Any questions on that one? And then on our last slide, this is still a fairly new slide for us here that we're reporting out in. And in November, we had 2,236 incoming calls, which averages about 102 calls per day. And then in December, we had 2,177 incoming calls, which averages out to be 115 calls per day. And that's just reporting out on the incoming calls. Any questions?
All right, Ms. Shannon, on those, the calls, I'm trying to remember. We have this call center, for lack of better terms. We've got someone sitting at the Blackman Clinic, is that correct, answering these calls, or?
Not currently. So right now, the way that our call system works, all of our phone calls are filtered into the Stewart's Creek location.
Okay.
that same person that would be answering that phone is also checking in patients that are coming to be seen in the clinic that day. At that time, if they are with a patient or on another line, the phone call then rolls to Blackman Elementary Clinic, which is the same situation. The person there does the checking in for the clinic visits for that day. So if they're with a patient or on the other line as well, then it rolls to the voicemail at that time.
What I was wanting to kind of remember that I thought we were set up, when this whole concept of this clinic for our employees many a year ago was set up, you called an 800 number, and that may have been somebody in Davidson County or Robertson County, but I just wanted, or Texas, but I wanted everybody to know, because sometimes I get comments at work, well, they don't answer the phone. I want them to know that you're actually calling in, for the saying of this, you're calling our clinic. You're not calling somebody way off. So, no, it's just like calling my regular doctor. Sometimes you got to give it time. I just wanted to make everybody aware that it's our people answering our phones at our clinics. So, we're not doing a call center in Texas.
And the benefit to that, it is, somewhat of a downside if they're both with the patient, and I understand that's frustrating for patients when they really need to be in and they want to speak to someone. But there's also a benefit to that. They have the real-time information. So if you're calling in for a med refill and you're not sure if you have a refill left, if you can have them send it to the pharmacy, if you can make a quick appointment for a refill, or if you need to see your provider and have labs, when we do call you back or when we answer that phone call by you guys calling directly into our clinic, we have that information readily available, so you're not having to wait for another phone call back to determine what the next steps would be. So there are benefits to that as well by doing that. So, the other thing that we've done recently in the last, I guess it's almost been 10 months, 11 months is, so it's been about a year now, is we had our company develop an email just for the MedPoint Clinic. Not everybody has an email, and I understand that, but we were just trying to create another way that people could get in touch with us, because a lot of times what we see is we call the employee back after they left a voicemail. Well, by then they're at work or they're back in with their classroom for the teachers, and unfortunately they're not able to answer the phone at that time. So we had that email developed so that they could call, or they could call if they didn't get through, then they could email us as another form of communication so that we can get them taken care of.
Okay, thank you. That just kind of gives everybody a little clarification so that they'll. Yes, Ms. Allen.
When you went to this new reporting system, I know you said it excludes some non-face-to-face patient care encounters. Did you track those encounters manually, or are we going to get those numbers, or those numbers are going to be forever gone?
So I'm not sure yet. I'm working very closely with my higher-ups and my reporting team to see if that's something that we can capture in the new electronic medical record is called Epic. There's a lot of benefits for us to move to Epic, including if you go to the hospital at Vanderbilt, we can get those records, right? That we don't have to, if you sign when you go in, we can have those records. So if you came and saw us the next day, we have all the information. Great benefits to this system. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have a way to track those non-face-to-face encounters, and so my reporting people are working with Epic to see if there is a way for us to start capturing those non-face-to-face encounters moving forward. So unfortunately, I don't have a firm answer for you right now. Prime Suite allowed us to, which was our previous record, allowed us to capture those, so we're trying to see if we can work out something and capture those within our new reporting system with Epic.
I guess part of the reason I'm bringing it up is that if you find that you can't, I think it would be beneficial for you to sort of continue to remind us as you report going forward that cost per visit may appear to be elevated, and the reason why, that we had a change in how we report and how we capture. There's some data that had been previously reported that was lost, because otherwise it's going to look like we're not being cost efficient in these clinics.
Yes,
so I just want to
ma'am.
make sure that if you can't get it, that you remind us of that change.
That change, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions for Ms. Shannon? All righty, thank you for that report.
Thanks.
All right, the next item on the agenda here, we're going to refer back to Ms. Street, and we've got a RFP for broker of record and TPA. Ms. Street.
So you have two documents that pertains to this conversation. The first is labeled Broker of Record and Third-Party Administrator RFP, and it has a table on it. It is the legal length paper. And then you also have Broker TPA Background that will list all 4 companies that responded to the most recent bid, and that was our incumbent CCMSI, Gallagher, Assured Partners, and PMA Management Corp. Once we accepted the bids and took them under advisement, we began evaluation of the actual bid submissions and identified that PMA had submitted a TPA-only bid. It did not have broker services around those services. And if you'll look at the legal sheet of paper, you will see that over a 6-year period, and the reason we calculated based on 6 years is because that was the loss runs we had, and so we wanted to make sure the data was valid. We utilized a 6-year period. Over a 6-year period, just for TPA services, they came in at $793,365. Without a broker, we would not have had a way with them to acquire insurance coverage because the others were not freestanding, so we excluded them from further consideration. We also excluded Gallagher for further consideration because they do not operate in a drug-free workplace, and that is a requirement because of the grants that we accept, and we need to be able to have partners with us that have a drug-free workplace. That left us with the incumbent CCMSI and Assured Partners. And if you'll look at the legal size paper, you will see that over a 6-year period, you have Assured Partners coming in with total amount, 6-year total estimated claims fees and broker services of $821,025, and you would have CCMSI coming in at $1,728,420. Myself, Mr. Good, one of our business analysts in my office, the mayor and the deputy mayor met with Assured Partners, and they did a very thorough presentation. They utilized Collins and Company as their TPA. We felt that they could pick up all the existing services and provide thorough services to Rutherford County as we have experienced thus far. Myself, business analyst, Mr. Good and Mr. Sandlin interviewed CCMSI, and one of the things that we noticed with CCMSI is their cost was significantly higher because of the commissions associated with the insurance policies. We thoroughly vetted that issue to determine if those associated costs existed with Assured Partners. They have indicated that they do not, and upon completion of the financial review and the face-to-face interviews, it is the recommendation that the contract be awarded to Assured Partners based on services available and cost of services to Rutherford County. The initial contract date will be 7/1/19. It will be a 3-year initial term with rate guarantee with 2 one-year rights of renewal up to 2 continuous years beyond the initial 3-year term.
All right, anyone have any questions for Ms. Street on the, yes, Mr. Phillips.
It's been 20 years since I've been on this committee, and I've been retired for 8 years, so my brain is probably not as active as it should be as far as insurance goes. But what is RFP?
Request for proposal.
Say again?
Request for proposal. It's how everything through the purchasing committee is acquired.
And this particular RFP we're talking about is about the coming year as far as insurance benefits?
A contract effective date on July 1st, 2019. And it's for the current TPA services, property and casualty insurance, the TPAs associated with those services, and for claim services related to our on-the-job injury program. And so our process, Commissioner, is I will come to this committee and request approval to go to bid. This committee had given approval for this product line to be bid. It went out to bid. We accepted them, took them under advisement, at which point we'll do the analysis and evaluation of the bids that were accepted, and we will do interviews and comprise the information that we've presented today.
I'm not sure I grabbed all that, but I got some of it. Thank you. The RFPs that we're talking about, this committee has already approved them, and you're ready to put those out for bid?
Yes, they did give approval for the bid process. That's correct.
When was that done?
It would have been done at the end of last year.
18?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Good. This is my first meeting. I'm once again
Sure.
caught up on this. Those RFPs that were released that this committee approved were pretty much identical benefits from the year before?
Yes, sir. So it would mirror all existing services to see if those services could be replaced by another vendor that may be more cost-effective for the county.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion to, I'm sorry, Ms. Allen.
I just had one question. On the right of renewal, is there a cap on any increase to the rates?
There is a cap on the increase to the rates. If you, let's see, it should be included in the document, the Word document there, Commissioner. If not, we can have Mr. Patterson come up and he can speak to that. Chairman, I'd like to invite Mr. Patterson up to the podium, please.
Yes, please.
This is Mr. David Patterson. He's with Assured Partners. If you'd like to introduce yourself, you can address any questions that come up.
Short. David Patterson, Assured Partners. The question was?
For fourth and fifth year, what was your rate guarantee cap?
They continue with the same rates, to my recollection. I
So
have it
the
in front of me, but I
0%
think
rate?
nothing changed. They're flat.
Any other questions of Mr. Patterson?
All right, thank you, sir. All right, any other discussion or questions? All right, now we'll need approval to, I'm sorry, Mr. Sanvey.
I was going to make a motion to
Okay,
approve.
a motion to approve. All right, do I have a second? And second by Ms. Allen. All right, all those in favor of approving and sending forward to, I believe this goes to budget?
This will go back to purchasing next, then to budget and full commission.
All right, sorry, back to purchasing for Assured Partners as our record of broker and TPA. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? And the motion passes. All right, thank you. And the next item is RFP for the Osha safety inspections.
So a second bid that we had received approval for and released was for our OSHA safety inspection. Several years ago, we actually began to utilize an outside vendor to go out to all county facilities and schools, ancillary buildings associated with those locations, and do an OSHA safety inspection. These will typically occur between the months of January to June within a given year. The current contract is with CCMSI. They will conduct all inspections this year. The new contract would become effective on July 1st, 2019. So we released a bid for OSHA inspection services. We received a response from the incumbent, CCMSI, Gallagher, Assured Partners, Johnston & Associates, and PMA. Upon review, if you'll look at the second page of the document for OSHA inspection services, you'll see that the incumbent came in with an annual cost of $36,000. Gallagher came in at $63,000. Assured Partners came in at $80,000. Johnston & Associates at $23,500, and PMA did not provide an annual. They rather provided a daily quote on that. We interviewed Johnston & Associates and the incumbent for consideration as the two lowest bids, and it was the recommendation that we proceed forward with Johnston & Associates for the committee's consideration, based on the fact that they agreed to cover all locations as specified in the RFP, and they had the lowest cost contained in all the bids that we accepted.
All right, yes, Ms. Stevenson.
Do we know how many buildings they inspect, like how many is required for them to inspect annually?
It's all.
So they're
It
supposed
lasts
to,
for months. They'll come on site, and it will be over the course of generally February through June, several weeks out of that time period. CCMSI currently does it. They'll send multiple appraisers on site at the same time. Johnston & Associates may use that same technique, but within that specified time period, they will have to have covered all of our schools, all of the ball fields, football fields, concession stands, all ancillary buildings associated with that location, and all county locations as well. and they'll provide a written report, which is then sent to the mayor and the superintendent of schools for corrective action.
Okay, so then they send that out to like maintenance or whoever needs to make the
Correct. Yeah, it
corrections?
generally goes to Ben and Mr. Curley over at the school board for assistance. And then later in the year, once we've given ample time for those corrections to occur, Mr. Good will do a secondary review to make sure that any infractions have been reviewed and corrected.
All right, I have one question, and I may have overlooked it and you said it and I just forgot it. What kind of contract time period do we have on this? Is it a 3-year guaranteed with two options of a year piece?
Yes, that is correct. And I would invite Mr. Adam Arrington up. He is with Johnston & Associates, and you are welcome to ask any questions about their services, and he can respond to those questions. We generally write every RFP as an initial 3 years with requests for guaranteed rates, and then there are additional extensions of 1 year up to 2 additional years for 5-year total if the county elected to take those extended periods. So if you'd like to ask any questions, we have him here with us now, and he represents Johnston & Associates.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
I'll ask the same question about the renewal. We've got the 3-year with this rate, and is there a cap on your renewal rate?
The 4th year, we'll ask for a 2% increase, just to cover our costs. And then the 5th year is the same. So 1 increase on the 4th year at 2%.
So 2% at year 4 and another 2 year at 5, or just?
It's flat for the first 3 years. The
Flat the
4th
last
year, 2%, and then flat the 5th year.
Thank you.
Well, then I have a question. Ms. Street had mentioned our current vendor that is doing these inspections, and you may not know this answer, would send a few people at a time. Is that kind of what y'all, when you bid this, you planned on having a couple of people out, or you've just got a one man that's going to show and then just do the whole county? How would you, for this, and it's, well, it is a significance difference, you know. So how are you going to attempt at a lesser price, which we appreciate, managing our county the size it is, including our schools and buildings accordingly?
One of the advantages we have, we're based right in Franklin. We started in 1990. We go all over the country doing this very same thing. So we know how to do it. We feel like we're efficient. We'll do a very thorough report. We showed everyone that interviewed us samples of the report, along with the images of any kind of issues that we have, and suggested corrective action. So we have 4 guys based in Franklin.
Okay.
And it'll just kind of, we'll see how it goes. All of them are qualified. All of them do this all the time. So it just depends on what's available and when, but we're ready to go either way.
Okay, all right.
Probably is the biggest factor. Our others would come out of state in order
Okay.
to come in and do that. So that's probably the biggest financial factor.
That may be a good little side note to put as we send it on to purchasing, is to, you know, go ahead and let them know that we're going to have basically the same service of multiple and not just a one-man show, and that y'all are local. You know, those are some things that kind of help to know these things, especially if we're making a change, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't like change usually. So, and for the price difference, I kind of look and say, why is there a price difference? You know, you're looking over your shoulder. So we appreciate it. Thank you. Do we have, yes, Ms. Stevenson?
I'm sorry, I hate to ask another question. I don't want to assume anything, but you do look at ADA concerns as well, because when you're looking at safety overall for OSHA, you're looking for the ADA concerns as well,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be possible if they added me when they find ADA stuff, since I'm the ADA coordinator, that I'm aware, just in case somebody has a concern, that I can go back and follow up to make sure that that building corrected that error? For county general buildings, I don't know who the ADA is for.
So those reports come in directly to Mr. Good, and he can put you on the list of distribution for county general so that you can receive those reports and identify ADA issues.
Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Mr. Phillips? Not for him, but for you. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
I've had experience dealing bids. I hate to make changes as well, especially with someone that I'm satisfied with and happy that they're doing the job. This outfit that we're going with now, deal with other governments?
Yes, sir. Actually, we are working with City of Murfreesboro. We're their TPA. They haven't started using us for safety yet, but we're trying. But yeah, you could call any of those guys over there.
Thank you. And those references have been checked out by us. Very good. That's. But sometimes when you make a change, it's not worth the savings that you get if the service isn't there. That was my only question. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And if there's no more discussion, we're going to need a motion on accepting this recommendation. Do I hear a motion? All right, Mr. Phillips made the motion. A second? And Ms. Allen with the second. Is there any questions or discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving Johnston and Associates as our OSHA safety inspections that will be forwarded on to purchasing, all say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right. The next item says we're down to other business.
We do have one addition to the agenda today. We've had Commissioner Craig Harris join us up at the tables today, and that's because he has asked that it be brought before this commission for consideration that commissioners be allowed to participate in the health insurance plan offered to Rutherford County employees. And so I will open that for discussion. I will let you know as well that I did send this over to Mercer, which will be our broker effective March the 1st, and I've asked for them to forward it to their legal department because there will be some aspects of the plan itself that we'll need to review as part of the consideration of this addition to the program. And he did not hear back from them. This came up late yesterday afternoon. I think Commissioner Harris had talked to Commissioner Allen as a commissioner representative on this committee, and she sent it to me. I understand he's talked to you as well, Ms. Stevenson. You may want to enlighten about that conversation and what work you've done so far in that regard. But there are some legal processes that we'll need to review. We also need to talk about if this would include the school board as their elected officials as well, and the highway superintendent or road board as they are equivalent of county commission in that regard as being an elected official. So there is some work that would need to be done, probably further than just this meeting today, but I would like to open the discussion, so if you'd like to go ahead.
So at the last steering committee meeting, it was asked of me to research to find out what is offered to other board members, and so I've had my team contacting all 95 counties. And so what we've done for anybody who's a board member or commissioner, we've asked to see what benefits they get, including life insurance, retirement, just to see what they're offering, what they're currently paying per meeting for their commissioners, all of those things that are involved in, and I hope to have that, or I will have the information that we've gathered so far at the next steering committee meeting. I do know that some entities, some of the counties are offering some benefits to their commissioners to participate in the pension plan, to participate in life insurance, to participate in the health insurance, but I don't have the recap of everybody yet. But we have reached out to all 95 counties and are gathering the data back.
Is that a spreadsheet that you could forward to this committee after you've presented it to steering?
Absolutely.
So that they can review it?
Absolutely.
One of the things I did fail, and feel free to jump in, Commissioner, if I've overlooked anything, is that you were looking at it from a contributory perspective. So you're not asking for county contribution, but 100% contributory by the commissioner that wants to participate. Is that correct? And so some of the questions when this was brought to me is, and maybe you could elaborate, Commissioner, if you're looking for commissioner-only participation, are you looking for their families to be allowed to participate as well? Maybe if you could speak for yourself as to what your request is. And we'd ask you to either use the phone or you're welcome, use the microphone or come up here either way.
You're more than welcome. Yes, sir, please. And if you don't mind, if you'll tell us so that it'll get on record of who you are, just for the people on the television set.
I'm Craig Harris, Commissioner, District 15. All I'm simply asking for is for commissioners and families, absolutely no money to the Rutherford County at all. Just ability for us to buy into or to participate into the group. But I need you to understand there is absolutely no contribution at all.
Yeah. So a couple of things that they'll come back with next month that should be available by then is we have to be careful about when you have contribution versus non-contribution under the same medical plan, and understanding what laws are around plan design and what we have to do to maintain pre-tax capability for our employees. So that will be one of the things that they'll bring back or can bring back next month or even in March for discussion. Other things that will need to be discussed is, and I talked to the mayor and the deputy mayor this morning, Mr. Sandlin had 23 years on commission, I believe, 24, so I don't want to short you. I know you earned every year of it. Our retirement guideline says age 60, 20 years of service, 10 years on the plan, you get retirement insurance. So would that be something that would be extended to commissioners that have multiple terms? Those are the type of discussion points that need to be made. It would be, my recommendation would be that if you proceed forward, you do an ACH process. Now the question becomes, what if there is a shortfall and the ACH bounces? How long do they have to take corrective action to make sure payment is received? At which point would the risk management department be authorized to take them off of the insurance plan if payment is not caught up in time? So there's, on the surface, it can seem a very easy decision, and you all can make it a very easy decision by someone just, making that proposal. But I do feel like there are quite a few things that need further investigation beyond the time frame that we've had to evaluate from yesterday before a comprehensive decision should be made on this. But of course, that is the wishes of the committee. And
Well, I wanted to make sure that I went through this committee before I brought it to steering committee. So however you want to get those answers, I'm okay, Melissa.
Sure.
If you want to do them, or Sonia wants to do them, I'd be more glad to look at them.
Yeah, I've already sent them out.
But there is precedent in this right now because all our state legislators have this opportunity to do it. So there is precedent, going forth on this. But whatever this committee says, I want to go through this committee before I go through
Sure,
steering.
yeah.
So if you have questions, I'd be more than glad to get with Sonia and go over these and answer every question you got. Make sure you're satisfied before you make any.
Well, this might be a proper time, Mayor, for you to introduce Ms. Miller, because she'll be the one that kind of picks this up and runs with it after today, if you'd like.
Yes, you may be excused. Thank you, sir.
I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to avoid the word,
No.
but yeah.
Thank you very much, and I want to introduce Lois Miller. Some of you may have been here long enough, but actually, Melissa came in after Lois. Lois was our risk manager for a period of time. She's been in, so Melissa picked up after her, and she's been in retirement for 8.5 years, and so during this interim, when I got the letter of resignation from Ms. Street, I reached out to her. She was on a cruise and vacation for a long-planned hiatus that she and her husband wanted to take, so she came in today. Today's her first day. She said, you want me to go to work today? And I said, absolutely. So we took her down, introduced her to all the employees. She'll be in that interim position. I have only 8 submissions since we posted the position, and we'll continue to look at those. I may have to extend it to get some more qualified people to come in for this replacement. But Lois is well experienced. She knows Rutherford County. She knows our plans. The personnel she doesn't, but she got to know those today. And so she's just going to kind of keep things settled and making sure that all of our employees are taken care of during this interim period of time. Please make her welcome.
So as Mayor Ketron said, it's been quite a delay since I've been back, but I would be more than willing to take up any questions anybody have. If I can't answer them immediately, I will do my best to get you the answers. As I told the staff, I have an open door arrangement, and if you need to come by and speak to me, if the door is open, come on in. If it's not open, it just means somebody got there ahead of you. Other than that, it will be open to anybody who needs to speak to me or have questions or guidance on any of the risk management and insurance plans.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
So I say that Commissioner Harris, Lois probably would be the appropriate person to pick the ball up and run with this. I didn't want you to think that I wasn't interested in the issue, or it's just that my time is limited. Next Friday is my last day, and so I'll only be able to do so much work on this prior to leaving, but Ms. Miller is in the office now, and I can certainly pass her my notes along, and she'll be getting the responses back from Mercer on the legal inquiry that we have sent in on these questions as well.
I'd be remiss if I didn't come back up since you mentioned it was your last day on 2/1. But I just want to say thank you, Melissa, for the job well done. Working for our county for the last 8.5 years. Thank you. You've done a great job. We wish you all successes in the world and wherever life takes you. But just want to say thank you. If you would give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yes, Commissioner Phillips.
There's been a timing issue in the past with certain things like benefits and pay increases and those kinds of things. Has that been looked into? Sonia, have you looked into that, or are you going to look into that? I know that there's been an issue with pay. I don't think commissioners can increase their own pay. It has to be done outgoing and incoming, like this past year. And I just wanted to make sure that we're taking those things under consideration too, to make sure that that we can do those kinds of things. So a particular question that I had, just make sure that we're not on a 4-year cycle, that we can't do anything during midterm. Okay.
I think all mine was just to gather the data for the commission, and then you guys would make the decision as far as that goes. I just wanted you to have available to know what other counties were paying their commissioners per meeting and what they may offer. And then I guess once we get that, I mean, whatever the insurance and the commission decides to do from a budgetary standpoint, you would do that. Mine is just to gather the data, not to necessarily make a recommendation one way or another. But is that what you're asking me?
Are you wanting to make sure that what Commissioner Harris is wanting to do is within the parameters, if we add the commissioners, that we can do that at this time, or is there a certain time period that can be added?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Looking into county commission pay within the last 6 months, putting together a particular spreadsheet, looking at all the top 10 counties in the state and what they paid, plus also the benefits that went along with that. Timing was important. A commission cannot give itself a raise. It has to be done by an outgoing commission for an incoming commission.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Right now we're in midterm, and I just want to make sure that benefits are not the same as compensation.
Okay, so that would be a question, I believe, Ms. Stevenson, maybe between you and Ms. Miller can figure out the legality of when, if commissioners were to be put on benefits, that it is done at the appropriate time, that we can't just jump off and say, okay, next month we're going to do this and call it done.
Actually, I'll probably have Josh to vet that, because if I'm pretty sure I'm understanding what Commissioner Phillips is asking. They can't increase their rate per meeting during an active term. It has to be at the end of a term before a new one. And if I understand him correctly, he's wanting to make sure that benefits would not be included in that compensation package. Is that what you're talking about? Kinda, sorta. I'll get Josh to vet it. How about that? Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And,
Mr. Sandy had
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Sammy, excuse me.
While I generally don't speak for you, I might be so presumptuous this time. I think it would only be appropriate to include the road board commissioners and the school board commissioners and any elected body as we are looking at this.
That would be correct, and once everybody got through talking, I was going to kind of suspend Robert Rules of Order, if you would, and kind of give a little 2 cents. I don't like sitting up here doing that, but
I didn't want you to have to suspend the rules.
yeah, but yes, it's just as if when the county commission give their raise for a 9/1 effective date, it automatically affected mine and your road and school board. So what I would assume, based on those same laws, if something was offered to those, they would be included into our road board and school board offering. So yes, sir. Speaking as a member and not sitting in this chair like I am today, I would hope that this does come back to this committee to be looked at, because let's be reminded that in 2016, we kicked off the spouses from our health insurance. They had to have insurance somewhere else, whether they could afford it or not. We kicked them off to save our money. So you got to look at, you've got commissioners trying to, they're balancing the public and the employees, and that's a juggle that is hard to do. But to be able to do that, you have to have employees that is running your business, be it the whole county, schools, road, county general, sheriff's department. You got to have us running your business for you. So you've got to remember that that was taken away from our spouses, our employees, taking it away from our spouses. Yes, the commissioners would pay 100%, but that would ultimately reflect on our OPEB, GABSP, on our financial records, because their bills would come into us to have paid. So that's going to affect our medical expenses on our account. Yes, they're going to pay 100% for their premium, but 100% of a doctor's visit, a hospital visit, or whatever comes in as our expense, and that has to be divvied out between everybody, our retirees' premium, our active employees' premium. We already have that really skewed, because our I'll just say retirees, I won't get the division correct, but our retirees are already skewed out with our active employees, so that they don't have such a huge premium on our retiree. So we got to remember that. And Ms. Street had also said, you know, are we offering them benefits? But we also have to remember, to be eligible for our benefits, you've got to work so many hours a week, and we clock that because our employees clock in. We know they work 30 or 35 hours a week. What kind of parameters would we put on our county commissioners? I mean, I know y'all answer the phone all the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not second belittling what y'all do at all, because you work 24/7 sometimes. But how do we track? How do we pass it on to our employees that we put these county commissioners on? And yes, they pay 100%, but their expenses are in our kitty for the 100% expenses. We also have to realize that we've got to keep this viable for our employees, so in 20 years or more, when I get to retire, if I ever retire, I would like something to be there for me. Even retirement insurance now is not the way it was when I started 24 and a half years ago. I know that, but I want something. And our retirees now want something. So I apologize for getting on a soapbox, but I would like for this to come back here, because as y'all know, I'm very passionate about this. I'm passionate about our employees. I know that our department heads and county commissioners work hard for us to have what we have, but we work hard at our jobs so that we have the county we have. So, okay, I'll shut up now. Any other business? Oh, and I want to say thank you and appreciate Ms. Street for all the help that she's given me at the Highway Department, and appreciate it. And Ms. Lois will have some big shoes to come in and fill, and we wish you the very best on your next adventures.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other business come before the committee? All right, got a motion to adjourn? Ms. Allen, do I have a second? Ms. Shontek? All right, all in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Thank you very much.